Hi there, and welcome to Insomnia Open Class. It's the first one after my little vacation trip, but I'm super glad to be here. And as you probably know, this is these episodes are where I or sometimes with a guest answer questions from the community, the Natto Nation. And so, if you have a question, just post it in the comments, and I'll reply to as many as I can in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. But while waiting for some questions to pop in, I was just thinking before this. So, what can I talk about until we have some questions? Well, I literally had a call with a client that ended just like 10 minutes ago. And I thought, okay, maybe I can talk about one of the questions that she had. And one of them was this. She said, why do I always wake up at 3 a.m., exactly at 3 a.m. every night, regardless of, what time I go to bed? And I shared that we call that a Swiss awakening. Actually, let me see if I can write that. Can I write that down? Let me try here. A Swiss awakening. And there is a specific video on this on the YouTube channel, but here's my explanation of Swiss awakenings. And by the way, I call them Swiss awakenings because Switzerland is known for its clocks and like precision, right? So that's why it's called a Swiss awakening. So the first thing I want to share with anyone that's had these Swiss awakenings is that they're common. Many people experience them. And by the way, I see some people have joined here. If you have a question, just post it in the comments, and I'll reply live here. But yeah, get back to Swiss awakenings. The first thing I want to share is that they're very common. Many people experience them. So it's always helpful to know that what your experience is not strange or unusual or unique, but they're common. That's always helpful. But that, of course, doesn't explain like why they happen. So why do they happen? It's very helpful to know why things occur, because that makes them less strange, right? So what I like to share is that almost everyone or most people have actually experienced Swiss awakening without really thinking it was something strange. They've actually woken up the same time every morning without thinking it was strange. They without any prompt or for no external reason, they woke up the same thing every morning and didn't think it was strange. And what was this in context of? Well, this is in the following context. Let's imagine that you have an alarm set. And by the way, see if more people have joined. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section. So imagine that you have an alarm set for 6 a.m. I have had that during many periods of my life. And then I found that I start to wake up just before the alarm. I start waking up like 5:55 or 5:58 or 5:59. I start to wake up before the alarm, but almost exactly the same time every morning. And what this shows us is that we have an internal clock in our brain. The brain often has a sense of what time it is, and that it can sort of be programmed to wake up at a certain time. In this example, it's the alarm going off at 6 a.m. that sort of programs the brain to wake up at the same time every morning. But other things can program it too. So these Swiss awakenings, I think, occur for the following reason. Let's say we've had a little trouble sleeping, and then we wake up, hyper alert, a bit scared and alarmed, and we see that it's 3 a.m. In that moment, what the brain does, it is that it creates a connection between like the clock, like it's 3 a.m. and that something is about to happen, or something happens at 3 a.m. becomes sort of the subtle message. And because because it happened once, it could easily happen a second time, and then the second time we wake up and it happened again. And now this starts kind of a reinforcing cycle that the brain starts to think that something important happens at 3 a.m. So we have to wake up at 3 a.m. While in reality, it's just a confusion. There's nothing happening except that we wake up. But when being awake has become what we fear, then it can appear to be something important. So that's why Swiss awakenings happen. And the sort of natural follow-up question to that becomes, okay, now we see why Swiss awakenings happen, but what do I do? What do I do about it? And as so often, I think, and by the way, I see like lots of people have joined our live here, but so far nobody's posted a question. So again, like feel free to ask questions and I'll answer them live here. But going back to the Swiss awakenings, oh, nice, Thalia, thanks for the question. And I'll get to it as soon as I've finished this topic on Swiss awakenings. So Yes. So just knowing that's what Swiss awakenings are, and not trying to fight against it, like trying to stop it, that automatically helps. So just knowing what it is helps. And then secondly, not knowing the time, you know, although when we wake up and we think it's probably 3 a.m., then it probably is probably true. But if we don't confirm that by looking at the time, it becomes a little fuzzy. We're not quite sure. There's some doubt. And then this sort of automatic reinforcement that happens when we check the time, it stops happening. And that's how I see Swiss awakenings fade. All right. So a little intro there about Swiss awakenings. Now let's welcome Talia with her question. Hi, Daniel. What do you recommend to do when the fear starts amping up at night? Also, is it better to get up after 30 minutes of no sleep, as CBT states, or just stay in bed even if I'm super anxious? All right. So thanks for these two questions, Atalia. And the second one is, I think it's really helpful to bring up because that comes up all the time. So firstly, what to do when the fear starts stepping up? Okay. It's very, very common when we've had a struggle with sleep to feel, all right, sort of in the morning, not particularly scared in the morning and during the early afternoon, but as kind of like it approaches night, we start becoming more and more scared. And this is of course because we've started becoming scared of not sleeping at night. We're not scared of being awake like during the day, because like we're supposed to be that's typical, right? But we're scared of not sleeping when we are supposed to sleep. I say quote unquote because these are not any hard rules or anything like that, but the idea is that we're supposed to sleep at night, and if we don't, that's something that's not good, and we're scared of that. And it can easily become this like the clock is ticking down, like the attempt at sleeping starts at like, let's say 11. We want to be asleep by 11. So when it's like 8 o'clock, when it's only 3 hours, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, now it's getting close. This is it. This is the time I'm supposed to sleep. What if I don't sleep? I'm just illustrating how it's very natural that fear starts amping up at night, because what we're fearful of is becoming closer in time, right? And again, just seeing that that's nothing strange. It's very typical. That always helps. So what do we do? Well, the way I like to express this is the following: that fear is an emotion. It's a very normal and helpful emotion that keeps us safe, because if we encounter something that's harmful or dangerous and we feel scared, then we run away or we fight or flight. Like the fear is helpful for us. It's a helpful stimulus that catapults us to do something that can keep us safe, right? So fear in itself is just a normal human emotion. Now, where does fear come from? Where it comes from some thought. We see a grizzly bear attacking us, and we think, oh no, this is dangerous, I'm going to die. And that thought makes us scared and we take action, right? That's totally normal. When it comes to insomnia, the fear comes from thoughts like, what if I don't sleep tonight? What if I never get better? What if I can't function today? Those thoughts are what creates the fear. And the fear is supposed to be uncomfortable. That's the whole reason it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to make us do something, right? So now, if we go back to the thought of like, what if I don't sleep? That's basically a message to us. It's kind of like a warning message. And if you think about when you try to warn a friend and they don't hear it, what do? You're like, you got to hear this. You tell it over and over again until your friend really hears your warning message, because it's important that they hear it. So the point here is that the more your friend doesn't want to hear, the more you want to amplify the message. And the same thing happens internally in us. The more we feel the fear amping up at night and we go like, this is unacceptable. If I'm scared, I'm not going to sleep. I got to get rid of the fear. How can I stop the fear? Then we're not hearing the message, and the thoughts, the emotions, that's going to be amplified, by the brain who wants us to hear this message. So I think what helps is like when we feel the fear amping up at night, we see why it's there, we demystify it, and we allow ourselves to hear the message. We're like, okay, I get the warning message. I know why I'm scared. It's okay to be scared. It's just my brain trying to keep me safe. Then the message is heard and the fear fades. Not immediately, of course, but over time, when we start doing this, it fades. So that's the answer I have to this one. Now, is it better to get up after 30 minutes of no sleep, as CBT states, or just stay in bed even if I'm super anxious? Very, very common question. So again, happy to have a chance to answer this one. Firstly, I want to say, whenever we find ourselves saying, is it better? Should I do this? What do you recommend? Then there is an idea that one thing is like superior to another. And that is tricky. because sleep, peaceful sleep and peace of mind, they come from nothing. They come from the absence of effort. So just the thought that one thing is better than another, it just illustrates to us that we are thinking somehow that this can be controlled. We can do something. So whenever we find ourselves when we hear it inside ourselves, like when we're thinking better, worse, preferable, then we're like, aha, this way of thinking is actually what causes struggle. So kind of just a little thing to take note of there. Now, with that said, I think it helps to understand like why this comes up. Why is it that in traditional CBTi they say get up after 30 minutes of no sleep, right? Why do they say that? To me, this comes from a confused understanding of conditioned arousal. The idea in CBT is Pavlovian. The idea is that, insomnia happens when we started to associate the bed with anxiety, and we have to break that cycle. We have to break that association, and therefore, when we're not sleeping, we have to get out, and we have to only sleep in our bed. So we reassociate the bed with sleep. That's the idea, which can sound like it makes sense, but when we think of where it leads, it's kind of clear to me that it's probably not that helpful, because where that leads is the idea that, I have to sleep in my bed, which as soon as we go to bed, you're like, this is it, I have to sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to start associating the bed with anxiety and not sleeping again. We see how much stress that produces. But now we understood like the idea comes from this Pavlovian thinking. And why I think it's confused is that there's nothing wrong with the bed, nothing with the pillow or the pillowcase or the linens or anything like that. They are not what creates insomnia. The association that creates insomnia is not bed and anxiety. It is being awake and danger. The idea that being awake is dangerous. That what creates the cycle of insomnia. And when we see that it doesn't matter where I am. I can show the brain. I can teach the brain that being awake is safe, that it's not dangerous. I can teach my brain that in my bed. I can teach my brain that outside the bed, in the next room, in the kitchen. It doesn't matter where I am. So sort of to summarize this, I think it's really helpful that we don't track the time and we don't know the time, because that just creates a lot of effort and stress. It doesn't matter where we are, but what does help is that if we, when we find ourselves awake at night, that we go towards making wakefulness an acceptable experience. We do something that makes it okay to be awake, whether that's just resting or maybe reading a book or just teaching the brain that it's okay to be awake. That really helps, I think. So Talia, I want to say then thank you for being here. Hope that was helpful. And my disclaimer here, a little bit late, but just for everyone, nothing here is of course medical advice. And just general thoughts that I share with the entire community here. All right. Adriana says, if I'm sleeping 0 time, when would I set the sleep window beginning? This also a question that comes up not rarely. And I want to say that generally, the sleep window is not something that's like important, particularly when, if somebody sleeps not at all, like, then why would it help to sort of like set an alarm, right? We can see that that's not really what's going to make a difference there. I want to say the sleep window idea, it can be helpful when to create a little bit of structure, particularly if somebody is like, somebody who goes to bed like really, really early and stays in bed a long, long time, and they're trying so hard in bed to sleep. Like, it can really helpful to be like, okay, maybe I should try a little less. Maybe I should spend a little less time in bed, and also stop chasing sleep in the morning. Like, when we wake up in the morning, we're like, I can't get some more. Let me try some more. The sleep window idea, which is like, let me set an alarm at 6 and get up at 6, and let me like stop check the time at like 10 p.m. or something like that. That can give us a little bit of structure, but it's not at all, in my opinion, it's not at all as important as just like general education, getting to know ourselves, like how we relate to our own emotions and all this inner work. That matters much more. So first thing is like, I think education, is really what makes a difference. The sleep window, it's something that can help, create some structure, but it's not as important as the inner work. So to answer the question, I think for most people, it can help to have some routine, just, most of us do, and it's just a kind of commonsensical thing. And so when would I set sleep in the beginning? I think what matters most is like, in your life, when does it make sense to sort of like get out of bed and start your day? Maybe it's 7 a.m., maybe it's 6 a.m., maybe it's noon. I don't know. Maybe somebody works night. I don't know. But whenever it makes sense for someone to start their day, I think that's when we can do that. And so yeah, I think that's my answer to this one from Adriana. I hope that makes sense. All right. Nathan is here and answers the following. I know you're an advocate for waking up at similar here, waking up at the same time regardless of when you go to sleep. But what if I have no reason to be up that early? I am on summer break from school and would like to sleep in. Yeah, very nice question here. So firstly, as I sort of shared with Adriana here, yeah, it can help to sort of get up at the same time regardless of when we go to sleep, because it can take us away from chasing sleep. But it's, again, nothing that is important. Meaning, if someone wakes up and let's say they have an alarm and the alarm goes off at 7 a.m. and that person feels like, the person thinks, oh my gosh, I fell asleep probably at like 4. I only slept 3 hours and now it's 7 a.m. I think I can get some more sleep. I think I can get another 2 or 3 hours in. Let me do that. That person is chasing sleep. The intent with like staying in bed is to try to get more sleep. And trying to get more sleep is what creates insomnia, right? So we can see for that person, if we wake up and we find ourselves thinking, I need to get more sleep, then it's probably good to get up, right? And to stop chasing sleep, right? On the flip side, if somebody wakes up, they see it's 7 o'clock and they're like, oh, I feel pretty good and I think I would like to relax here a little bit more. No intent of chasing sleep, just because it feels like, and maybe we'll sleep a little more or maybe not. Like, it's perfectly fine to sleep in for that person, right? Because they're not chasing sleep. So I think the intent is what matters. Sleeping in is not a problem whatsoever, except I think when we're chasing sleep. So if somebody's on summer break and they're not chasing sleep like that, I think why not enjoy a nice time of the year. Okay, let's continue here. We have Ojazvi with us. Thanks for being here, Ojazvi. Hope I'm saying that okay. Who says, hello, sir. I'm struggling with sleep for the past 10 years. Sorry to hear that. My mind resists falling asleep and doesn't let sleep happen. It feels that it is losing control and is going into some unknown territory. My mind resists falling asleep and doesn't let sleep happen. I see. Okay. Well, Jasmine, I'm again sorry to hear this has been happening for so long, but I'm glad you're here, and I think there's lots that you can learn from this channel. The specific thing that comes to mind here is something that we call somniphobia, and within the Talking Insomnia playlist, there's an interview with Marina, and I've also done at least one separate video on somniphobia. And so somniphobia is what we describe, is our description of a sort of state where we have started becoming scared of falling asleep or scared of sleeping. And it can be quite confusing, because insomnia really is when we're scared of not sleeping, right? We're scared of being awake, we're scared of not sleeping, and that creates a struggle. So then when we find ourselves being scared of falling asleep, it can be confusing, like, well, why am I scared of falling asleep? Because I want to sleep, right? It can be confusing, but when we sort of take a step back, we can see that it actually makes a lot of sense in a way to be scared of falling asleep and scared of sleeping, because of the following. When we are scared, we humans are scared, what we're scared of is, or when we're scared, I should say, our brain is on the lookout for something to keep us safe from, so to speak, right? It's in that mode of fight or flight mode. It's looking for things to keep us safe, right? It's looking for threats. And if we think about it, there is a mystery to sleep. Like, falling asleep is like, nobody really knows how that happens. And during sleep, we are not awake. We are sort of vulnerable. It's a little bit of a mysterious state. So when we are scared, it's not super hard to see that we can become scared of something that's a little mysterious or strange, like falling asleep or being asleep. And we just call that somniphobia. So when we've experienced that, I think the first thing that really helps is knowing that it's nothing strange or unusual. Somniphobia is just another way we can experience fear. And that leads us to a place where we can be like more okay with it. We can be like, I'm not going to judge myself for this. I'm not going to think it's strange. It's just something the brain is doing to keep me safe. And once we're not fighting it, we're not trying to get away from it or stop it, when this acceptance happens, then the fear goes down. We see there's actually nothing there to be scared of. Sleeping is not a danger. Not falling asleep is not dangerous. When the brain understands that and sees it, then it allows sleep to happen again. So, Ojasvi, I think maybe learning about somniphobia could be helpful for you or someone with a similar question or situation. Pradeep is with us. Thanks for being here, Pradeep. He says, "Hi, Daniel. You are Superman." So thanks so much for the kind words. The entire strategy is really working for me. That's amazing. My heartfelt thanks. All I can say is that you should say. All I can say is we should build as courage the approach to insomnia, the let go attitude. Yeah, Pradeep, I'm super glad to hear this. Thanks so much for sharing it and being here. And I totally agree that it's something I didn't see initially, is that when we're scared, like you were, like many people are, the path to leaving that, courage is really helpful. Sort of doing things that have been scary for us, or facing our fears, like really, really helpful. So, and that leads to that let go attitude, as you say. So Pradeep, super glad to hear this. Thanks so much for sharing it. Okay. Jen P says, "Are you against sleep aids such as melatonin and Unisom? I wake up with extreme anxiety, so I usually take one, but wonder if it's something I should try to work through rather than to medicate." Yeah, Jen, thanks so much for asking this. And it's interesting. I had part of this conversation with one of my clients today. And here's the thing. Maybe you would expect someone like myself, who really believes in education and like the inner work and hard work and something like that. Maybe you'd expect me to say, yeah, sleep medications are not good and they have these side effects and this can happen. But the thing is, if you would do that, or if I would do that, it would just create more pressure to sleep, because the person who now is thinking, should I take this or shouldn't I take this? They sort of feel like, oh no, I have to stop taking this pill, or else I'm going to get these side effects from the pill, which means I have to sleep on my own. And that just creates more pressure to sleep and more struggle, right? So I think it's more helpful to emphasize that, again, no medical advice here, but generally speaking, I have not come across any studies that suggest that sleeping pills are detrimental to our health, or that they cause any like diseases or anything like that. I think things like melatonin, Unisom, they've been around for, at least decades. And to my knowledge, the FDA hasn't banned them. There's been no reports of like some serious problems with them. So I think it's fair to say that, generally speaking, they're safe. There's nothing harmful there or anything like that. I think that can take away a lot of pressure. In fact, what I say to clients that want to come off a medication is that what really helps is to kind of loosen up this conflict we can have within us. And the conflict is like between, okay, I want to sleep. That's one thing I want. And I also don't want to take medications to sleep, right? Those two things are in conflict with each other. And that can be quite problematic, particularly if we start judging ourselves. Like, why am I taking this again? I shouldn't need this. What's wrong with me, right? Then that conflict, that friction in itself becomes a source of like struggle and not sleeping, right? So a way to like loosen that friction, I think, is to think of sleeping pills more like we think and approach vitamins. Meaning, if somebody like takes, I don't know, vitamin D or something, do they think that it's absolutely crucial for their health to take that vitamin D every single night? Or do they think more like, this can help me, but if I don't take it tonight or tomorrow night, it probably won't make that much difference. Vitamins are not like super strong, right? I think most of us think of vitamins more like the latter. Like maybe it's helpful, maybe not, but it's something that maybe can help. We have that sort of loose, like flexible relationship with vitamins. And if we have the same relationship with sleeping pills, I think that takes away so much pressure. We know that pills don't make us sleep. We know that sleep always is something natural, it comes from within us, right? We know that when we take a pill and think, oh nice, this will take care of sleep for me, then we have delegated the work of sleeping, and delegation is the magic, not the chemicals, right? When we know that the pills don't make us sleep, but it's okay to take them, right? It's like I take a vitamin. I don't think much about it. I just take it. Then there's no conflict there. That can be really nice. So I think doing this inner work rather than pressuring oneself to take something or not take something, I think it really is more helpful. And also, like, if someone wakes up with extreme anxiety and takes a pill, like, self-kindness is, I think, something that's so helpful there. Like, just think of it as like, I needed that at that point. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong in doing that. A lot of people judge themselves so harshly for being very anxious and then taking a pill, and then the self-judgment in itself becomes a source of struggle. So yeah. Okay, let's see. I think we've answered from everyone except Jay Smith here. So let's do a last reply here. Jay Smith says, I've been wrestling with insomnia for about 18 months now, but I've been following Daniel for a while and I understand sleep pretty well now. I still have battle scars from past issues, but letting go is the key. Take whatever sleep you can get. I still have really rough nights and I still react poorly to those nights sometimes. I'm hoping get past insomnia scars will heal bit by bit over time. Jay Smith, I think it's super nice of you to, first of all, thanks for being here. And also, it's super nice of you to be able to share words of encouragement, even though there's still some struggle, that you're still experiencing some struggle. I just want to say here that, seeing that our reaction to how we sleep is really what makes a difference. I think that's super helpful. I'm so glad to see this, Jay Smith. And then say, I still react poorly. The word poorly is a little, it's a little, we sort of judging ourselves like that. Maybe we can say, like, I still react quite a bit, without judging ourselves, that can always help. So just a little thing. And then let's do R2. All right, thanks for responding to my email. I'm interested in why you evolved from promoting sleep restrictions and sleep window to the timeless sleep approach. Are your clients responding favorably? Okay, yeah, no, thanks so much for this question, Ari. And yeah, it is really because I just became wiser, with the time and through this, like, constant interactions with the community, like through the comment section, like in open class, in Insomnia class, I just realized that sleep restriction is basically another attempt at trying to control sleep. And I saw that within CBTi, there is this big problem in my mind, what I call implied controllability. It's not like a CBTi therapist will say, if you do this, you'll have total control of your sleep. No, but it is implied. It's implied that they say, like, okay, if your sleep efficiency is 75%, we will reduce your sleep window by 30 minutes and then we'll recheck. It's implied that you can control sleep using sleep restriction. It's also implied that you can control your associations, the things we associate by stimulus control. It's implied that, okay, if you just get out of bed after 30 minutes, go back to this, then you're associating with the bed will change. It's implied that we can control sleep, that we can control our emotions. And I saw that leading to so much struggle for our clients. And this is why I think it's evolved for me to this more gentler and more effective approach that I call Natto, very similar to ACT, by the way. But yeah, all right, thanks so much for being here, and everyone else. It was super nice being back here, and I look forward to being back next Wednesday again, doing Insomnia Open Class again. And as always, if you're finding that you're finding your way, like Pradeep did here, for example, to peaceful sleep, that is wonderful. But if you're feeling still that there are questions that are not quite answered, or you're not feeling like yourself, you're not feeling like you did before, and you'd like to feel like yourself again and enjoy life and have other things in your mind except for sleep, then please head over to our website and find a coaching option that works for you. And if you choose to do so, I look forward to seeing you on the other side. With that said, have a super nice day, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye now.